Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, the college football playoff rankings for Week 11. Just released the Texas Longhorns coming in at number 7. This Texas team, if they win out, we just talked about it with Alabama too, really hard for both of these teams to be left out of the college football playoffs, especially the way Texas has played when Quinn Ewers is healthy. Want to get into Texas, what their resume is going to look like, what they've looked like on the field. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. The amount of support you guys have shown the boys, it truly does mean a lot. We love talking ball, but the amount of support y'all show, it's been amazing. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and more importantly, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section, your college football playoff rankings, how you view the Texas Longhorns. They're going to give you the T-box here. This Texas team at times has looked like one of the best teams in college football. They come in at number 7. How are we feeling here?
Yeah, and to me, you gotta kind of grade them on the when Quinn Ewers is healthy. They're
Agreed.
really
100% agree.
And honestly, to me, this team's led by their defense. I think their defense is awesome. I think it's very much got an argument for one of the better defenses in the country. That front seven, that's as good as anyone. T'Vondre Sweat might be the best defensive tackle in all of college football.
He sure is.
Ford might be one of the best linebackers in all of college football. So they have the stars. They have the horse on defense. And again, when their offense is going, it's really going, and they have started to run the ball really effectively.
That's where we've Texas fans have heard me say, like, why I think this Texas team is so special this year. It's not Quinn Ewers and Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell, although those guys are all phenomenal football players. It's how physical and how good this Texas team is on both sides of the trenches. I mean, that is one of the best offensive lines you see in all of college football. That front seven went on the road to Tuscaloosa and gave it to an Alabama offensive line that I think we thought sucked, has looked a lot better. Maybe Texas just made them look bad. Where this team cuts their teeth is in the front seven with their physicality, which is something we're not used to saying for this Texas Longhorns team. And for that reason, if they do win out and win the Big 12 championship, it's really hard for the committee to leave them out. Now, the only concern I have, and again, we talked about this with Alabama, like as a college football fan, if Texas wins out, wins the Big 12, they're one of those 4 teams that I think should be in the college football playoffs. The only problem is like the Big 12 has kind of been cannibalizing each other. Oklahoma obviously not had a good last couple of weeks. Will that hurt them when it's time to select the top 4 teams?
Yeah, and the fact that Oklahoma State went on and lost early to, I think, South Alabama. In a way that you just can't lose if you're a really good team, and then obviously they go and beat Oklahoma. That's honestly the one thing that's hurt Texas a little bit, I think. It's just you're right. The Big 12, frankly, these other teams, they just haven't been good enough themselves. They haven't played consistent enough aside from Texas, who, again, yeah, they lost to Oklahoma, but I think a lot of people watching that game would say Texas was the better team. They outgained them. It took a miracle drive at the end. Like Texas, if you're putting back on a neutral site, there's probably 3, 4, 5 point favorites.
We talked about that, and that is probably the strongest argument. And I remember after that game, and I'm not a big run the game back, like Texas was the best. Like I don't normally say that, but if you were to go and say Vegas, I need you to handicap the line, Texas, Oklahoma, neutral site. What are you putting the number at with a healthy Quinn Ewers? Obviously, everyone healthy. Like, it's almost a touchdown. I think it really is. And so you look at that and their one loss being kind of a last-minute drive that really stung. It's hard to hold that against them. And my only worry here is that Oregon, with that one loss, is going to have a chance to redeem themselves against Washington. And I think that hurts. Like Texas, your rivals with Oklahoma, but you kind of wanted to see them win out too and get your lick back, so to speak, in the Big 12 championship game. And it doesn't look like they're going to have that opportunity. Now, Oklahoma State's going to be a good win. They have them as a top 15 team in the country. But I think Oklahoma struggling as of late has definitely hurt the Texas Longhorns and that college football stock.
Yeah, and just frankly, it's going to be hard, even if they do win out. Like, if I think Oregon or Washington, whoever wins out from that group, just given that they're sitting a little bit ahead right now.
That's my biggest concern, is that what they've told us with these rankings is that they have the 2 one-loss teams, right? Who are the top one-loss teams? You have Oregon, Texas, Bama, Ole Miss, Penn State, Louisville, in that order. It's telling me that they value Oregon a little higher than Texas. Does Texas have enough time or does have enough opportunity, I should say, to get that ranking and jump whoever's going to win the Pac-12?
And honestly, to me, the real ideal thing for Texas have to a one-loss Florida State, because a one-loss Florida State's not getting in over Texas at this point. Because again, Florida State they won't have a good loss in my mind. If they lose to Louisville, I see them sitting at 11. I don't think anyone in the world thinks they're like this dominant football team.
I'm a Louisville guy, and I'm not putting them at 11.
If you watch Louisville play, you don't think like, oh, that team belongs on the same field as an Oregon or a Penn State. You can tell there's a step down currently from what they're doing. In Florida State, again, their best wins probably LSU, and LSU lose to Alabama, who Texas.
When you look at Florida State's best wins, sorry to cut you off, like Duke, they're not in the top 25. Clemson is 5-4 right now. So like these wins that you thought were so lost, and I'm not hating. I think Florida State's a very good college football team. I've been on record with that, but just their resume and how down the ACC is. Like those wins, LSU, that win was thought to be really, really big time. Now they have 3 losses. Though I'll tell you what, when I'm racking my head around this and thinking about all the endless possibilities that we're going to see unfold, I think what helped the most, we talked about it 15 minutes ago, Alabama winning out. Alabama, you went on the road and beat Alabama in week 2. They went out, beat the Georgia Bulldogs. Alabama's getting in. How could you argue that? And again, back-to-back national champs, the Georgia Bulldogs. If Alabama very well could be the number 1 team in the country by then.
Well, that's the tough part. If Alabama beats Georgia, that almost and everything else plays out. The Pac-12 2 teams don't drop a game they shouldn't drop until they play each other. And Michigan, Ohio State don't drop a game until they play each other, and Florida State wins out. You're looking at an SEC, not in this Final Four, because again, you can't take Texas over you can't take Alabama over Texas if Alabama wins out. It just if Texas wins out, Alabama wins out. There's no fair world that then says Alabama deserves to be in. Because again, I do think Alabama is playing a lot better football than they were early in the season. But you can't go like Texas did go beat them at home. They can't be left out for Alabama.
I agree. We just talked about it. Like Alabama would be a top 4 team. I fully believe that, but it'd be really hard to get them in over Texas. Now, I'll say this, like for all the college football nerds who say, oh, you don't need to play tough out of conference games. Like just take care of your business in the conference. You'll be fine. Texas having the courage, I'll say, to go play Alabama on the road, that win is going to help them immensely. Because if
they didn't have that win, they don't have a great win on their schedule.
100%.
You're looking at Oklahoma or Oklahoma State being the best wins. Like right now, you don't feel like either of those teams are.
And you went on the road and
beat Oregon.
And you went on the road and beat the Alabama Crimson Tide like that. That's what I think. If you're Texas, the biggest thing that could happen for you is Alabama wins the SEC, and you're looking at Texas. You can't leave Texas out of it with a road win against Alabama. Again, as a college football fan, I like to recenter myself and say, if Alabama wins out, it is really hard to leave Texas out. If you're trying to get the best 4 teams to play for the college football playoffs, to play for national championship, and Alabama's the SEC champ with 1 loss coming at home against Texas, you can't leave the Texas Longhorns out. Again, I'd support it because if Alabama does take care of business, like Texas is one of the best 4 teams in all of college football. Obviously, the Texas Longhorns have some work to do. Quinn Ewers getting healthy being one of them. But if they do win out, take care of business, especially if Alabama.
And I do think for Texas, frankly, it helped the argument if they started dominating some games a little more thoroughly. And I get it. No Quinn Ewers, it hurts. But when you go play Kansas State or a Houston, I think you want to start blowing the doors off teams. And if they go play Oklahoma State in the finals or the Big 12 championship, I think you want to go pounce on them and hammer them.
I will say they did blow the doors off the Kansas Jayhawks, who are sitting at number 16 now. So, again, I'm not going to hold Texas accountable for playing with it. In fact, beating Kansas State, who is a top 25 team with your quarterback too, is pretty damn impressive. Texas has a good resume, a very good resume, a chance to build on that resume. Obviously, with a win against Oklahoma State, you probably want them to keep winning. So you play a top 12 Oklahoma State team. It's going to be hard to leave Texas out. Obviously, a lot of college football left to be played. Wanted to hop on, talk about them.
That's always the thing I feel like people like. We're debating it now because it's fun and it came out. And what else are you going to do on a Tuesday night? Watch college basketball? Like, definitely not. I'm just going to go yell at my computer screen about the college football rankings.
That's it. The college football life chose the fellas. again, appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.